Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Good afternoon. Um, as I'm sure everybody knows, we felt the effects of an earthquake earlier today at approximately 8:40, and so I've asked to speak to you to give you the latest situation on what is going on and what we have been able to find out about the situation in different places. Mukhang malakas yung Lindol kasi malaking ang 7.3, napakalakas na niyan. Hanggang Ilocos Sur, nag-approximately 6.0, which in the Richter scale, which is still a very strong earthquake. I have with me USEC Solidum, there, and SND Faustino and DILG Abalos, so that they can give us the reports from on the technical aspects of what happened today from PhilVox, and the reports that our policemen and other local executives have been providing us, and of course the NDRMC on the measures that we have taken to immediately provide support to the LGUs and of course the citizens that have been affected. I would have the Secretary of DSWD, Secretary Erwin Tulfo, is not here with us because he's already there. He left earlier. He left soon after the earthquake. Again, we are awaiting his report. I am staying away from going to the affected areas for a very simple reason. It has been my experience as governor, it has been my experience in Yolanda, that when the national officers come to the affected areas, immediately ginugulo lang namin yung trabaho ng mga lokal. Yung halimbawa, pupunta ako doon, maghahanap pa ako ng pulis para pag-secure, kailangan ako i-meeting ng mga local officials, marami silang ginagawa. So I said, let them do their work. Let us wait for them to tell us what is going to be, what the true situation is. And maybe I can schedule a trip, perhaps tomorrow, as soon as possible. So now I'll turn the floor over to USEC Solidum so he can explain to us exactly what happened in Abra this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. At exactly 8:43 this morning, a magnitude 7.0, initially rated at 7.3, occurred in Abra. And the depth of the earthquake was 17 kilometers, so not so deep, shallow. And because of the magnitude of the earthquake, we consider it as a major earthquake. Anything greater than 7 is a major earthquake, and we would expect significant effects of this event. First, on the reported strength of the shaking, so far, the maximum intensity reported to us would be intensity 7 in Bocloc and Manabo, Abra, and this would be manifested by damages to houses and buildings and landslide, especially in the mountainous region. We also noticed intensity 6 in Vigan and other towns of Ilocos Sur like Sinait, Bantay, San Esteban, and in Nalawak, Pangasinan, and even Baguio City, and that would be nearby La Trinidad. The reason why there was significant damage in Vigan is that the foundation of the city is essentially sandy because of the big river that would flood the area from time to time. So there was amplification of the shaking, and many of the churches and historical buildings were damaged. Now, landslides are a problem, especially not only for earthquakes, but during rain. So we have to make sure that areas that are affected by landslide and starting or incipient landslide should be avoided. Towns should actually investigate houses and buildings that were damaged to see if they can still be usable, and even those that don't have very obvious damage. So this will be the work po ng mga local engineer. There was a reported unusual wave in the coastal areas of La Union and Ilocos. This was not a tsunami po, no? Because a tsunami would be very high waves because of the uplift of the ocean floor due to an earthquake in the ocean. What happened was there was shaking of the island, and the water, coastal water, was shaken. So there was a minor seawater oscillation. Some of the waters actually entered some of the river. Mr. President, yun lang po report natin.
All right, so that is the initial report from PhilVox on what has happened. Siguro next, I will ask Secretary, no, unahin natin ng DILG because I want to hear also, hindi ko pa narinig ang mga report na galing sa mga local government at saka sa mga pulis natin. So maybe Sec Benher, you can brief us on what they have reported to you.
Magandang hapon po, Mr. President, at sa lahat po ng mga nanonood, nakikinig po ngayon. Ito pong mga data na ito po'y kinumpile po natin. Ito'y galing sa mga local chief executives ng mga LGUs, and of course, galing sa PNP at galing sa mga fire. Kinos-reference po namin ito nang sa ganoon ay talagang ito'y eksakto po at tama. Ang affected regions po ay 1, 2, and CAR. 15 provinces are affected, 15 cities, 280 municipalities, 6,756 barangays. Ang initial reports po are there are road closures in some parts of Abra, power interruptions in Abra and Benguet, intermittent communication lines in Region 1, landslide in some parts of CAR, minor damages in other regions. Ito po ang initial report sa CAR. 29 municipal roads were damaged. 3 bridges in Abra are also reported to have been damaged. 173 buildings, both private and government, were also damaged. 58 reported landslides, most of which occurred in Abra, with 31 reported landslides. 60 injured. And so far po, 4 po ang nabalita ang nasawian ng buhay, 4 deaths. Of these 4, 2 are in Benguet, 1 each in Abra and Mountain. 2 in Benguet, 1 in Abra, no? Yung sa Mountain Province po,
Ang cost niyan pagguho ng lupa.
pagguho po, opo. Sir, if I might also add, Mr. President, no, para lang, sandali lang po, para lang pong maano po natin, ito lang po. Karamihan kasi pagguho eh. Okay.
Yung unang casualty sa La Trinidad, natabunan ng lupa. Mukhang ganun din eh, kasi doon sa mga highland areas, ano yung lupa.
Yes, sir.
Talagang,
Mga lupa po.
umuurong.
Sir, i-breakdown ko lang po, ano. So, lumalabas sa Abra ay 3 tulay, 3 bridges. Sa buildings, ito lang iaano ko lang, sa Baguio, 33 were affected. Tapos 59 dito po sa Abra. Sa Apayao, 2. Tapos sa Benguet, 62. Pagkatapos po sa Kalinga, 7. And then sa Mountain Province 10 po. No? That's a total of 173. And of course, ang pinakamaraming landslide reported ay dito po sa Abra with 31. No? Ang mga injured po, pinakamarami din po sa Abra, sir, at 44. No? At yun po ang report po namin. Nakadeploy po ang mga kapulisyahan at mga bombero po at ang mga disaster risk na mga LGUs po sa mga lugar na ito.
Thank you,
Yes,
Sec
sir.
Benher. Itutuloy ko na lang sa dahil naumpisahan na ni Sec Benher yung report sa mga sa mga daan. I've also received a initial report from the Department of Public Works and Highways on the condition of the roads in and out of the area, national roads especially. Sa Cannon Road is presently not passable. Palispis, yung Palispis area ng Marcos Highway is not possible. The Benguet Nueva Vizcaya Road as of now is not possible. Kilometer 302 to 700 Poblacion Bocod Benguet is also not possible, not passable. Baguio Itugon, not possible. Andres Cosalan Road in Sitio Bugaw, Barangay Adaway, Kabayan, Benguet is not possible. Sa National Road, kilometer 297 plus 200, Belling, not possible. Poblacion, Kibungan, collapse, not, sa Benguet pa rin ito. Kilometer 313, basta not possible. Upper Kalinga, sa bandang Pail is not possible. On the road going up from Kalinga to Abra, Pantikan to Bablasang, Balbalan is not possible. Lubuagan, Batong Buhay Road is not possible. Ifugao, the Banawe, Hungduan, Benguet Boundary Road is not also possible. However, there are other roads like the Palispis Marcos Highway, one lane is possible now. Baguio Bontoc Road, pwede ng one lane. Benguet Nueva Vizcaya, one lane. So dahan-dahan nabubuksan naman. What was not possible, we have already been able to clear some of them. Hindi, unless kasi basta't hindi naman mabagsakan ng malaking bato at lupa lang ang bumaba, ay hindi naman mahirap na i-clear yan. Kaya I anticipate by the end of the day, the majority of these roads that I have mentioned as being not possible should already be available for use to us. Now I'll give the floor to SND Faustino on the report from the NDRMC.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Magandang hapon po sa lahat. Ang reports po na ito ay halos kaparehas din po nung kay Secretary Abalos. Ganyan man, dito ay I will give emphasis doon sa ano na ba ang mga preparasyon o ano na yung mga ginawa natin as a result of the earthquake. Ang actions po taken by the NDRRMC, agad po ay nag-convene ang ating NDRRMC. Nagkaroon po tayo ng emergency meeting through VTC with concerned regional directors ng mga naapektuhan ng mga rehiyon at mga probinsya. And we already issued a directive issued to Luzon regions regarding the reiteration of response actions. The OCD also issued 2 emergency alert and warning message. We also, in coordination with PhilBox, the quick response teams to be deployed for field assessment. As mentioned by the President, DSWD Secretary is already in the affected, already in Abra for the relief assistance. Of course, yung Armed Forces of the Philippines prepared assets for mobilization already. We are talking about air assets, and we could add more kung kinakailangan pa. But we have a number of assets, air assets already positioned in the area in coordination with the Northern Luzon Command. And the Philippine Navy assets are on standby already, sir, in Subic kung kakailanganin pa, sir, ito. Then, of course, the available relief items from the Office of Civil Defense is already ready and prepared. Sakaling mga ilangan ng ating mga LGUs dahil meron namang mga nakaposition na preposition na mga relief goods doon sa lugar na to. Right now, the rapid assessment is ongoing on the following: status of roads and bridges, as reported kanina; status of critical lifelines and infrastructures; status of houses; status or the total affected population; the immediate needs; and as we speak, ongoing ang road clearing operations, and ongoing data gathering and submission of situational reports. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Secretary. So that is the general situation as we know it for now. pagka ganito, ang lagi kong inaalala kaagad yung kuryente at saka yung tubig. Because that's always the immediate, dahil yung kuryente kailangan sa communication and the communications, but the communications is dependent on the availability of the power supply. Ang report na nakukuha natin, nagtanong ako, kasi generally rural area naman ito, so hindi siguro dapat maging problema ang water supply ng tao. Pati pagkain, dahil naman, hindi naman na iba naman ito sa Bagyo, palagay ko may available na pagkain. Wala pa tayong report kung kailan ibabalik ang kuryente. Dahil ang nangyayari diyan, kailangan nilang tignan lahat ng mga linya at kasi basically walang short. Yung dati yung lagi natin pinagdadaanan pagka may disaster. Sa communication naman, ang Globe ay may pinadala na meron silang emergency na mga cell site. Yung Smart, wala pa kaming narinig, ngunit ay nag-request na kami sa kanila na magtayo na kaagad, ibalik na kaagad ang serbisyo dahil lalong-lalo na pag-disaster, pagkaganto, napaka-importante na nakakapag-usap kami. Nakakausap ko yung mga local leaders, nakakausap natin ang mga first responders na on the ground. So that is where we stand now, and we will continue to provide information as it comes in. As you can imagine, this situation continues to develop, and it will do so for the next few days. But I think that everything that can be done has been done. We have even anticipated the needs of those who have become victims of this very strong earthquake. So I'll end it there, but I'll open the floor to a few questions about the earthquake.
First question from Mr. Neil Maribok from UNTV.
Magandang hapon po, sir.
Good afternoon.
Base po dun sa natatanggap na po ninyong initial information sa mga damages, may posibilidad po ba o ikinokonsidera ninyo ang pagdedeklara po ng state of calamity sa mga lugar po na ito?
Generally, ang SOP dyan, ang state of national calamity, pag apektado ang tatlong region, automatic yun. Hindi naman naapekto ng tatlo. So far, we can say that it's Region 1 and CAR. So I don't think it's necessary right now to declare a national emergency. However, depending on the information that comes back, I'm sure marami pa tayong mababalitaan, marami pang impormasyon na hindi pa nakarating sa atin. Baka mangyari yun. I hope not. Kasi sana limited na nga dito sa Abra hanggang sa Ilocos Sur, Ilocos Norte, La Union. Yung mabigat yata yung sa amin, sa Ilocos Norte, I spoke to the governor. Sabi niya mukha namang so far, may structural damage, wala namang kaming casualty. Yung La Union, yung sa Ilocos Sur, I'm sure nakita niyo yung Bantay Church, malaki ang damage. Meron din structural damage sa mga bahay. Sa La Union naman, mukhang hindi gaanong tinamaan. Perhaps because of the terrain structure as explained to us by Yusek Solidum, iba siguro ang pinapatungan ng mga bayan doon sa La Union. So anyway, and now of course we know what has been happening in Kalinga, in Benguet, and in Baguio City, mukhang mukhang natamaan ng malakas. So we have to wait for those reports. But right now, hindi pa nangangailangan ng magdeklara ng national calamity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Neil. Ms. Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Sir,
Good
base
afternoon.
po sa report ng Pag-asa, meron po silang mga binabantayan na weather disturbances that will affect mostly yung mga areas na lubhang tinamaan po nitong Lindol. So, sir, what are your directives, sir, to the government agencies to prevent further damages and loss of lives?
Good question. Kinakatakutan namin baka umulan. And kasi siguro naluwag na nga, there'll be a great danger again of landslides. So binabantayan natin yan. Usually naman, na-identify natin kung saan yung areas of risk. So pwede nating bantayan. Huwag sanang umulan, at least for the next 2 days, para makapag-stabilize tayo ng lalo na yung mga daan, pati yung para ma-inspeksyon na rin yung mga bahay if they are safe to go back to. Pero siguro hindi pa ngayon. Dahil even if they are structurally safe to return, magkakaroon pa tayo ng aftershock. Baka doon naman magka-problema. If you remember, a while back, during the earthquake in Baguio, maraming namatay kasi akala nila tapos na, pumasok sila, inabutan sila ngayon ng aftershock. So that's what we are watching out for, both in the structures and in watching the danger of landslides.
Maraming salamat, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Cathy Valiente, Manila Times.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Para po sa kaalaman lang po ng ating mga kababayan, where were you po and what were you doing when the earthquake happened?
I'm sorry?
Nasaan daw po kayo, President, during the earthquake?
I was in my office. Naririnig ko yung may chandelier na yun ang guide namin dito sa palasyo. Pag narinig mo yung chandelier na kumakalansing, then ibig sabihin may lindol. But it was very strong. It's stronger than the usual.
Yes, sir. Follow-up lang, sir. What can the government do to ensure daw po yung National Building Code is enforced? Will you push for a review of the code? And lastly, sir, will you ask the Congress to pass the bill on Department of Disaster Resilience?
Yes, precisely. Because as I said in the SONA, we have to recognize that we are disaster prone. And that's why, which leads me to the answer to your previous question, which is we have to be certain that our planning, hindi na natin mapalitan yung mga nakatayo na, but our planning for the future should include all the mitigation, all the science and the knowledge and the learnings on the mitigation of these kinds of disasters. Iba naman yung lindol, the real problem with the earthquake is hindi talaga tayo makapag-predict ng lindol. At least yung bagyo may warning. Yung lindol talagang bigla. So we just have to deal with it that way. And if we can make get that balance between cost and the mitigation requirements ng ating building code, so that we are safe when the earthquake comes or malakas na bagyo, then that is what we will have to do.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you.
Will you push po for the passage of the
Of the?
yung sir, bill on National Disaster Resilience
Yes.
Department, sorry.
We mukhang, I don't like to say it, pero mukhang mapapadalas ito eh. Not the earthquake, pero yung weather, lalo yung extreme weather. Kahit hindi bagyo, yung masyadong, nakikita nyo yung sa Europe, nakikita nyo sa Amerika, baka naman abutan tayo ng ganyan, yung napakainit masyado. So these are the things that we have to be careful. We need more capability than we have now. Magaling na tayo sa bagyo, marunong na tayo sa lindol. Pero ang mga dangers the dangers that the effects of climate change present are different. That's why we need a specialist agency.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Tuesday New, DZBB.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Good afternoon.
Apo, so far po, nabigyan niyo na kami ng initial scenario ng ongoing relief and disaster response operations. Saan po ang extent ng assistance na pwedeng ibigay ng national government sa mga affected residents, lalo na po yung mga nagiba ang bahay, bumagsak ang bahay? Papagawa din po ba yung kanilang mga bahay, sir?
Papagawaan yung?
Mga bahay na nagiba.
Tutulungan kami, siyempre. The immediate, lalo na sa lindol, ang immediate concern is shelter.
Yes.
Kasi nga, kahit na titignan mo yung bahay, mukhang matibay, Hindi mo malalaman hanggang na-inspection na mabuti yun. So we cannot allow people to return to their homes yet. Because it's dangerous. That is one of the problems. Because ang tendency ng tao, pagka umalis ng kanilang tahanan, ay babalik ka agad yun. Kasi para hindi mo, alam nyo na yun, para hindi, walang masira, walang makuha, walang whatever. So we have to explain to them that ang kailangan muna ma-inspeksyon yung kanilang mga bahay, at bukod pa doon, kailangan na muna natin antayin na medyo matapos na yung mga aftershocks. Yusek Solidum tells me it'll be 2 or 3 days of significant aftershocks, after which magte-taper off. So, antayin na natin yung ilang araw. In the meantime, it is up to us, the government, to provide shelter for them, to be able to feed them while they are in the shelters, and to inspect their residences, their places of business, para makita natin kung pwede na silang bumalik, pwede magtrabaho ulit, pwede na bumalik sa kanilang mga bahay.
Follow up lang, sir. May panawagan po ang PHIVOX kaninang umaga sa local government units na seryosohin po yung pag-iinspeksyon sa mga residential houses, not just buildings and other establishments. Would you issue a directive po sa DILG na gawin po itong at least regular inspection sa mga residential houses sa kanilang areas?
There's no need. There is already an existing procedure for that. Ang problema, hindi ko minsan nagagawa, because we actually at the local government level, meron tayong mga engineer pero not necessarily qualified sila para tumingin sa building at sasabihin safe ito pag nagkalindol, hanggang Richter scale 6 pwede ito, hanggang ganito. Wala tayong sa local level, wala tayong ganun, kaya hindi nagagawa. So we will just have to, I think the better way is to educate people na wag kayo magtatayo ng bahay sa delikadong lugar. Make sure that maayos yung mga materials na ginagamit at maging matibay para pag sakali mang magkalindol o magkabagyo, o ay hindi naman kayo mabiktima. So yes, it's something that we would like to be able to do. We have yet to have the capability to do it extensively. Sa urban areas nagagawa, pero sa rural areas hindi gaano.
Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat. That's all for
Thank
today, Mr. President.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's it? All right? Oh, there's one more. Oh, yes, sige, go ahead.
One.
Thank you, Mr. President. Katrina Domingo from ABS-CBN News. Mr. President, we have an initial assessment regarding the cost of infrastructure and agricultural damage incurred after the quake.
Wala pa. We haven't yet got the estimates. That will take some days. Kasi kailangan yung mga sa agriculture, yung mga upag, mga MAU, kailangan iikot yan sa lahat ng lugar. Again, ang worry ko dito ay hindi yung tanim, kung hindi yung irrigation systems, kung ano yung nasira. Kasi pag lindol, yun ang tinatamaan eh. And then, yeah, that for me, in terms of the agricultural sector, that for me is going to be the greatest concern.
Sir,
Kasi malapit ng taniman.
Sir, two-prong follow-up question. First, aside from the provision of shelter and food, will the government also be providing cash incentives or cash allowances to rebuild their homes? And how much of an additional budget are we looking at to address the situation?
We haven't made those calculations yet. But siyempre, we have all of the mechanisms that have been put in place for the pandemic, and so they are also in place. And if you know, IX is for all citizens in a precarious situation. So it does not necessarily mean that they got sick with COVID. It means basta't nalagay sila sa alanganing posisyon. So that will apply. Siguro that will be most relevant to those who have for whatever reason yung mga kanilang mga opisina or yung kanilang mga tindahan ay nasira, hindi sila makapagbukas. Mangangailangan talaga dahil wala silang hinahanap buhay. So I'm sure the social programs will then come into play.
Definitely, sir, we have an available budget. And do we have a ballpark figure of how much we can still spend?
I think especially in terms of what we're anticipating after this earthquake, I think we should be able to cover it.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat.
you.
Thank you all
very
very
much.
much. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
I like it, I love it, I want some more. I like it, I love it, I want some more.